Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopes is now happening at UFC 303. Who's going to win this fight? Well, before we talk about who's going to win this fight, let's take a look at their latest performances in which Brian Ortega fought Yair Rodriguez, in which the fight was stopped since Brian Ortega got a shoulder injury in round 1.
Yeah, this is great for Brian. Brian wants to grab.
What happened?
His shoulder popped out. His shoulder popped out.
But after this, he got the rematch with Yair Rodriguez, in which Yair Rodriguez dropped him twice and took control of round 1.
Ortega kind of exposed his game plan. Took by a left.
But then Brian Ortega brought it back, had a lot of ground control, and landed some great shots in round 2. And after this, Brian Ortega got him in an arm triangle choke and made him tap in round 3.
Oh, that's in.
And he's got 4 minutes. And that's the tap. Brian Ortega.
Now let's take a look at Diego Lopes' latest performances, in which he fought Pat Sabatini, in which Diego Lopes knocked him out in round 1.
Ya lo toca, ya lo tocó. Ya lo tocó. Aquí viene. Va por su segunda victoria López. Esta segunda y esto termina.
And after this, he went on to fight Sodiq Youssef, in which Diego Lopes dropped him twice, then put more punishment on Sodiq, in which the ref seen enough and stopped the fight in round 1.
Now, right away, I want to say that this fight is a way better co-main event than Jamal Hill versus Carlos Ulberg, because we all know that Jamal Hill was easily going to get his ass whooped by Carlos Ulberg based off his trash performance against Alex Pereira. So now let's talk about Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopes. But here's the thing, we're guaranteed to see a high-level fight, which yes, maybe Diego Lopes is still working his way up to the top as he's still up and coming, but he has shown to have the skill to compete. That's why I believe this is going to be a high competitive fight. So now how is this fight going to play out? Well, both men are very good at submitting their opponents, because if you look at Brian Ortega, he stands with a record of 16 wins, with 3 of those wins coming by knockout/TKO and 8 of those wins coming by submission. So half of his wins are coming by submission, which is really impressive. And if we look at Diego Lopes, he stands with a record of 24 wins, with 10 of those wins coming by knockout/TKO and 12 of those wins coming by submission. So he's also very good at submitting his opponents. But by looking at his record, you will realize that he has an advantage over Brian Ortega, and that is his striking, because he has way more knockouts than Brian Ortega. So in the end, who wins this fight? Well, I believe that if it becomes a grappling match and both men are looking for submissions, it's going to be a very close match. Either man can take it. But if the majority of the fight is a striking match, I believe that Diego Lopes is going to have an edge over Brian Ortega, because every single time we see Brian Ortega strike with a good striker, he always ends up taking a lot of damage. So I got Diego Lopes beating Brian Ortega.